Jordan open.
I got 2 twin Glocks strapped to my hip. One for the ops, one for the dip. Got the drip on me, and she take a sip. Doing shit you never see, like a dream of crib. Got a shorty in the club, going dumb. Pour another drink from the night till the one. Party all night, getting lit to the sun. Doing shit for fun, throw another one. Hey, I got 2 twin Glocks strapped.
Alright, what's up guys? It is Will Bullock from the Dreams Not Fame podcast. I'm with a very good friend of mine, Cam Hurd from Silverback Academy. We have a dope episode we're going to get into about Copa, about his rise to being the #1 middleweight Nogi Master One,
yeah.
And a whole bunch more, man. Stay tuned, and we look forward to having y'all. Alright, let's get into this, Cam. So first off, this is unnormal for me, I'm gonna be honest. I've been saying this beforehand. I normally got mics. I got mics on my shirt. This is kind of, if you see me being awkward right now, I'm sorry about that. Plus the ear, you already know what's going on with that.
I feel you.
But thank you for coming on the show, bro. It's a pleasure having you, man.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's been a while because I actually really wanted you on the show since I first met you back at Silverback. And then we both did like DC, and we're gonna get into this, but we both did DC Open. Yep. I won my event. You skyrocketed in yours, and then you just took off, bro.
Yeah.
So I want to give you like props for that, becoming #1 person in that. But first things first, before we get into anything jiu-jitsu, bro, how's your mental doing today, bro?
Mental?
Mental. How's the mental?
I ain't gonna lie, I hate losing.
Yeah, that's
Took a loss last night.
Yeah.
Against a good opponent. It was. A good opportunity, a great event.
Yeah.
So I'm trying not to beat myself up too much.
Yeah.
But I'm a perfectionist, so
man.
Everybody, you did great, you did good, but it's hard to focus on the good, and when you got the bad overshadowing it, it's like the biggest eclipse standing over everything. So I'm doing all right, but
nah, man.
I got a chip on my shoulder.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good chip for the rest of the year. I know that because I definitely understand what you mean by that. Like I had a good night, I had a great night. But I have a chip on my shoulder because I couldn't get the finish that I wanted.
Yeah.
I did what I wanted to do, and I felt like I've been posting and everything today. Everything's been great, but it was like, and deep down in the back of my mind, I felt like I didn't do enough. Like you always have that feeling like you didn't do just enough to do what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I felt like my match is boring, but I had multiple people come up to me and was like, man, you were just doing, like it was crazy. That whole event is just out of this world, man. But before we get to that, we gotta understand how we got to that event. We gotta go back in the past, right?
Right.
So I was talking about DC Open, and then from there you just took off because you're a wrestling background. And then tell me your experience of just rising through the ranks of that. Like you were traveling every month, right? Yeah,
there for a minute. We were doing a lot of opens from all over the country. And,
yep.
Sean, my professor at Silverback, was traveling with me and investing a lot of time, and also, it ain't cheap doing all these tournaments.
It is not cheap.
It's really kind of, you don't get much glory either, but it's like you set that goal in your mind. You're like, all right, because in 2021, the first IBJJF event I did was Nogi Worlds.
Yep.
I jumped in a couple local tournaments as a white belt, having a wrestling background.
Yep.
It was, not too much competition at at that level. So I was like, all right, what's the legit thing in jiu-jitsu, IBJJF? Kind of before I heard about ADCC, and like what's the pin? What do people care about?
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm gonna sign up for Nogi Worlds. So I went down there. It was in Texas, it was during COVID too, so it was kind of it was still kind of
the only land that was like everything's free, no mask.
Somewhat free.
Somewhat free.
It was actually like you had to wear a mask from going through the metal detector to the door, and they didn't care about outside
everything, all the issues.
As long as you got it on between here and here. But yeah, so I went out there, won my first match, and got matched up against another D1 wrestler. And I did a little homework afterwards. Looked like he had wrestled at Okie State. So I mean, he was legit, an MMA fighter, and gave up a double leg, which kind of caught me off guard, and then. Wrestling habits, bellying out rather than going to guard and trying to save yourself, gave up a choke. And so from that point, Sean came down, and I'm like, feeling like, how you feel when you lose, right? Into the world. And he's like, this is your first time here. We'll be back next year. And I was like, we're going to win it next year. And so from that point, throughout the next year up through 2022, the goal was winning no-gi pans, winning no-gi worlds.
And you got both of them done.
We got them done, yeah, and we got to the first, as you mentioned earlier, the #1 ranking. So last year I did Masters 1 blue belt. This year I've dropped down to adult just because I feel like
that's where like the real competition is, the hunger, all the young bucks as you will, but
And I mean, kind of it's the mentality of a competitor. Like you feel like even though you won and you accomplish your goal, it's like, yeah, but people are gonna be like, yeah, but he did it at Masters 1. Like,
that's the like, one little thing. Yeah.
I'm not gonna give him that, so I'm gonna do purple belt, adult. It's a tough, purple. It's a deep division.
Purple's deep. Well, deep for you. It's weird for heavies. But we're getting more of that later. But for your division, because you're middleweight 185, right?
I'm doing medium heavy this year, but I did middleweight last year.
Middleweight last year. Those divisions are normally stacked up with some good people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, last year at Worlds, I was watching the purple belt division, and it was just like, they're on 4 different mats, and all of them they're good grapplers.
Yeah.
It's good grappling going on. So I'm excited to get in the mix with that, too, because it's like, I ain't getting any younger. You know what I'm saying? If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna try to do it now and go ahead and see how high I can climb. And as you know, as a competitor, you get that chip on your shoulder, and you always feel like, well, yeah, I did this, but I could have done it better.
Yeah. And when you have those moments, like I feel like everyone, if you're a really great competitor, you have to have losses to understand your growth and effect as well. Because like you can't be just winning everything. It takes a while to get from A to B, and it's going to be stressful. Like you're going to go through some hard knocks. Like I remember when I was switching up from doing gi to no gi, I lost like my first 2 no gi matches switching over my super fights because I was not adequate in no gi as I am in gi. When I got my win in no gi, it was like that was my goal, just like I'm a little bit decent in no gi, but gi's my thing, as we saw from last night. So it's just like, I know I can do my stuff in no-gi, but I just wanted to prove myself that I'm like, all right, I'm decent there. If I ever get a call, I know I can fall back on it, but I know the love that I have for gi is different. But just seeing you rise from that and having, just talk about your background, like Virginia Tech wise. I know those are some of probably your proudest moments as like just a competitor, just being at Virginia Tech wrestling. Like tell me that experience, because I never wrestled at all, and I know that's a whole different game.
Yeah, I mean, so I started wrestling when I was 5. I was fortunate enough to have the high school that I ended up wrestling at. They had a youth program, and they started at age 5. They go up through middle school, and like I said, it was ran by my eventual high school wrestling coach. So I was like kind of farmed into the program, and not only that, but I had the group of guys that I grew up with, still talk to every day. We all wrestled together, so it was like that's where I hung out with my boys.
Nice.
And so that kind of just created this love for wrestling, and also I was like 90 pounds soaking wet my freshman year, so I was like, football was always fun too growing up, but wrestling was like I could get in a weight class and I could do what I do against somebody my size. So yeah, I got into wrestling at a young age, wrestled up through the program, went to middle school, high school, and then ended up wrestling at Virginia Tech, which was always my goal because my dad, my cousins, uncles, they all went to Virginia Tech. I grew up with like season football tickets at Tech. So I, like,
you bleed it through and through every freaking season. I see you going through the heartbreaks every year, bro.
Oh my God, bro, it's been tough. I mean, I was spoiled in high school with Vic, right?
Yeah, you were spoiled with Vic.
And I had season tickets back then too, so I was watching it firsthand, and now it's like we're just battling to beat a JMU on Saturday at noon, and it's like
that's gotta be a weird experience seeing Vic. And then going to you, that's got like you had the highest of highs in that moment. Getting everyone #1 star recruiters, and then you guys got fight the JMU. Is different.
It's definitely highest highs and lowest lows.
Yeah, man.
But hey, I'm still bleeding orange and maroon, and I'm still a Hokie forever.
I think everybody I grew up with became like a Hokie fan because of Michael Vick, and then eventually with Marcus Vick, even though he didn't do too well. But nah, man, like I knew, because I remember I was rolling with y'all during COVID, and it was just like, I remember you just came in, and they was like, oh, he's a D1 wrestler. So like, what was the gap from like you from stop wrestling and then doing that? You were just like, I just need to switch on, do jiu-jitsu. It's like, get back into something that you wanted to do.
So I'm so glad I found jiu-jitsu, because like, there was a gap. So I graduated Virginia Tech 2023.
Yeah.
My last year competing was 2022, which is another story I can tell you if you want about how I thought I had another year of eligibility left. Trained all summer and ended up getting let down to find out that actually my eligibility had run up due to a small mistake with my redshirt year. So anyway, like that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth too, because like my last year at Tech I had fun, but I still wanted to compete because I was kind of knocking on the door to qualify into the NCAA tournament, and like felt like that there was a big year coming up, and then I didn't get to compete, and I stayed as a volunteer assistant coach in 2013 while I finished my degree. I graduated, get out into the real world, and then didn't get in. And now, so then fast forward 7 years, 2020 when I started jiu-jitsu, and in between, I tried to stay in shape, lifting weights, whatnot, going to my high school during like Thanksgiving when I'm home and whatnot, but not much grappling between 2013 and 2020. And so then I ran into this guy at Lifetime, and he's wearing some wrestling stuff. We get to talking, and he's like, "Yeah, bro, I train jiu-jitsu. Check it out." I went and like fell in love with it, and I was like, "Oh man, this feels like wrestling all over again." But I suck, and I got to get better. So,
so how to retool yourself doing the wrestling habits and those habits into like jiu-jitsu habits. I know that's gotta be like a switch from some wrestlers, right? Like how you're not supposed to give up your back or give up position. And like you said about Copa, it was just like not Copa. Back at No-Gi Worlds, how about giving up back in that certain position? So how to retool your brain a little bit. So
that was just like second nature. It's like you're getting taken down, base out, and then somebody's choking. So relearning some wrestling, and then learning how to kind of tweak some wrestling to make it work better for jiu-jitsu, which I think is something that I'm still working on, but I've kind of found a game anyways for now as far as good wrestle jitsu from the feet.
And now you're leading the wrestling program at Silverback, if I'm right, or being one of the teachers there, coaches there doing it.
One of them. We got Botchka. He's another
beast. I've seen him. He's a beast,
He's
bro.
a beast. I'm so glad to be able to train with him, because you get confident stepping out on a competition mat knowing that you fight him every day. So
I remember facing him as a white belt. I'm like, he's a wrestler or something, because I was like, what the heck is this? Bro, like, it was just...
He's a monster, and he moves like a lightweight, and he's strong as an ox. So shout out Botchka. But he's
shout out Botchka.
He runs the Monday night wrestling class, and then I run the Thursday night.
Nice, man.
Yeah, it's been cool. Sean, mentioned to me adding a class last year, and I was like, absolutely. It helps me too, because I have to study to know what I'm teaching each night, and like it makes me kind of break things down, and
it helps your wrestling, helps their wrestling. It's like kind of giving back to the team as well.
It has,
about your knowledge, and it's increased throughout the team.
And I mean, I try to keep it fun. It's not as much live during my classes, because I do have a lot of people that had never wrestled before. And they're like, they're coming trying to just get their basics down. And so it's a lot of drilling and functional stuff, even like just some dopa bands and like just movements, trying to get to learn how to move their body like a wrestler. So it's cool.
Yeah, man. So with that being said, with wrestling, you kind of find this mix of jiu-jitsu and wrestling, and that's propelled you to what you did with that. Like, with becoming a purple belt, have you seen how your game's changed from a white belt to purple now?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, it's a whole different. Well, I barely see. When I see you in the gi now, it's so funny seeing you in the gi on rare occasions. Because I remember when I was going through my no-gi stuff, and I'm like, I'm only going up to show a Silverback because y'all do no-gi all the time, and I'm seeing you in the gi. I'm like, yo, what are we just doing opposites? Like, what the heck is going on, bro? So it's just like, are you ever gonna do comps in gi? That's what I'm mainly going to do.
I'm not gonna say no, but right now my focus is I want to still train the gi. Right now I do Mondays. They're gi nights. I even do my comp class in the gi unless it's like right before a tournament. So I don't want to go to someone's gym and have to put the gi on in a purple belt, and they're like, this dude's a purple belt? Like, but see me in no gi. It's like, I see you in the gi. So
I see you in gi. So why I need to see you in no gi?
So I don't want to be one of those guys that's one-sided. But I'll be honest, with my wrestling background, no-gi just feels more natural. So as far as competition goes, I'm focused on no-gi for now. But like I said, I'm never going to rule it out. do a gi now, you know, somewhere down the road, just to scratch an itch or something.
Yeah, like I think it's just so funny to me seeing you in the gi, bro. Because it's like a blue moon occurs when I see you in the gi. Because it's just like I never ever see you in the gi on Saturday. Like it's really freaking rare.
Yeah.
And every time I see you, I was like, oh, you coming to our side now, and it's just all this stuff. But nah.
But for real, honestly, like a lot of times I will on a random Saturday, I'm like, all right, today I'm wearing the gi for an hour. Just because for me, it sucks. And it's like, I want to make myself do something that sucks so that when I'm on the getting on the competition floor, you're going to feel extra pressure that you don't feel in training. And that's something that I felt last night at Copa, honestly. We'll get into that when we get into Copa, but you know, it's a lot, it's intense.
Yeah.
It's a cool stage, and like if you like that, it's great, and you know, I love it, and I look forward to the next one. But it's gonna feel different than training does. So sometimes in training, I like to do stuff like wear the gi today, even though you don't want to. It's gonna be hot. You're gonna get extra tired because the gi wears me out.
Yes.
But yeah, so like I like to do stuff like that just to make it hard on myself.
Yeah. Speaking of making it hard on yourself, because I know that when you did this transformation from white to blue to purple, not only your jiu-jitsu and your wrestling got better, but the way you lift and your diet got better as well.
Absolutely.
With Asim, if I'm saying his name right. Because I met him first time, I think, yesterday. Dope guy. I know he runs your lifting program, but how did he get you back like into the shape that you're in now?
So I mean,
posting all these IG thirst traps. I have to say that because I know Harley go be like, you gotta get one for me.
That's right. Hey, I'll be honest, she's a good sport. She's my number one fan. Harley, I love you to death. Thank you.
Yeah,
but no, I mean, I think the baseline for me was like, at first I was thinking, if I'm gonna get in better shape, I just gotta do a bunch of jiu-jitsu because that'll put me in jiu-jitsu shape.
Yep.
But I also like injuries. You know, like not even like injuries, but just little like imbalances in my body that add up, because then things start overcompensating, and then things start getting way out of whack. So getting with the team and being like, look, these are my goals, and my goals are injury prevention, functional strength, and I was like, you know, honestly, physique. I want to look good. Yeah. So he goes and he concocts this crazy ass science experiment for a year, and it works. So I mean, thank God for seeing, because he knows his stuff. Yeah. And he's got all kinds of clients, and they're all got different goals, and they've all got, you know, different lifestyles and everything. And he goes in and makes like a custom tailored suit, basically. Like,
for all your workouts or different workouts.
What you want and what you're looking for, and if you stick to it and listen to him, it works.
Yeah, so, I haven't seen that guy. I remember we were talking to Asim and Matt, with a bunch of the guys at the Silverback table. Shout out to y'all, shout out to John, whoever got that table next to the ring, because that was dope, because I saw some of your matches there, and the view from that table to the mat was beautiful. Like, it was just right there, so it was just like, it was really beautiful. But just having that, having some of the clients around, we all talking about, of course, you're always talking about size and whatnot, and I'm just seeing like some of the boys just losing weight. John lost weight, and some of these other guys, I'm just like, I seem like, what are you doing to these guys? Bro, and it's just freaking crazy.
You know John Bob?
Yeah, I was talking to him because it was him and his wife, and he was like, Will, you look good? I was like, John, don't even get started. Like, why are you even talking? Like, the way he was looking.
The craziest transformation I ever seen him.
No, because he had gut. I ain't gonna lie to you, John. You had the one pack. It's okay. I've been there before. But the way you just cut everything out, man, and the way you look good now, bro, it's been amazing. Bro.
He looks like he should be in Men's Health magazine.
Oh, bro. Yes.
He's a freak. I mean that in the best way possible. Yes. He's a specimen.
Yes.
But yeah, and that's just another testament to Asim's weight training and strength training. My brother got started with him a few months ago. You met my brother last night.
I met your brother last night. He's basically your twin, but just a little bit taller.
A little bit taller.
Like
a little bit bigger.
A little bit bigger. I'm just like, so he's doing jiu-jitsu now too, or?
No. He's just, so his goals, he wants to do strongman and maybe a powerlifting competition. Okay. And I've always told him, you know, he wrestled in high school. Yeah. So he got a long wrestling history as well. Yeah. But also a long history in the weight room. And he's a little hard-headed like I am. We've been lifting since we were basically 14 or so.
Yeah.
And we know what we're doing. We've been doing it this long. Nobody needs to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
So until you can, and like that's when you start lifting on things that are not balanced out, and then you're causing problems, and you're really just getting weaker, but you're hard-headed about, you don't want to reset the button, right? You don't want to go back down and wait and fix everything. And that for me was like, all right, Asim, we got to reset everything. We got to get things back to neutral, and then we'll start building. And that's what we did, and now that's what he's done with my brother too. And my brother's had shoulders and issues and stuff in the past, and now, you know, he's feeling good and he's moving weight, because you've seen how big he is. I was like, you got the frame.
Yeah, he got the frame for it. So I was like, is he doing jiu-jitsu? I was like, I know y'all probably did the same high school, but I was looking at him, I was like, he probably do jiu-jitsu. He was wrestling, strongman. That's all him, man. Good for him, bro.
Yeah, but he's a farmer now, dude.
He's a farmer. Look, that's all you gotta do. You just gotta move the weight in the field, bro. Like, you don't need a gym.
Yeah.
Like, you in the field all the time. But let's get into Copa, because I think Copa has a special place in my heart, because I grew up in Manassas, like born and raised there. Jules, my head guy, Les Studios, he's born and raised there, born in the Gainesville area. So it's like, it's definitely a coming home party for me.
Yeah.
I was at the first one. You were there at the first one, in the crowd. And then it was like when the second one came about, I was like, I knew how to get on this card. And I was like, I know you're going for the 3K. And I was like, oh man, this is gonna be sweet. And I know both of our builds were just like, we're game for it, because we cross paths when we were in the gym, man. But tell me your experience, because this is your first time. I can tell you mine, like, through the entire thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great experience. I'm newer to Copa, I guess. I did my first Copa, like,
their local tournament, stuff like that.
So I've done 2 of those now. I did my first one back in March, and then, like, I knew this one was coming up. So I was like, let me, you know, I want to get, and those have cash too.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me get a little cash and
grab and go.
Get my feet wet with this Copa organization, and then all leading up to this Copa Elite, which I saw, you know, you did last year, and I was like, I want to do stuff like that. So, you know, I set that goal last year when I saw it, and it was a great event. They did a great job with it. They're very professional.
Yes.
I mean, people that don't do jiu-jitsu, you know, I had like family and friends that come out to watch, and they were all like, man, this is awesome. I didn't know this was here.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
this is the second time to do it. I've been telling Dimitri, I was like, you got to do at least 4 a year, once every kind of season, and use it to feed in, because it's a great time. It's definitely a great time, great atmosphere.
Absolutely, man. And I think hopefully, you know, he'll start doing more. I mean, it'll really help grappling, especially in this area.
Oh my God.
I think the DMV's got some solid grapplers all around.
Oh yeah.
And they need a platform like that to do more on.
Dude, like, Copa for me, like I said, it's a homecoming for me. So the second time around, like, I'm always doing these super fights, and for me, it's always better. Like, when I'm home, like, I walk into the locker room, most gyms, I'm just like by myself, and you're like, you find a nice little group you can talk to a little bit. That's not your opponent. That's not anywhere, right? Yeah. And now when I'm walking into Copa, I'm like, yo, I'm seeing guys from Silverback dapping them up, seeing guys from different gyms dapping them up, seeing different affiliations dapping them up. And that's what I love the most, because it's like, everyone travels to different gyms. I don't care what you say. It's just, it's natural to, like, hey, I'm gonna pop in real quick from different areas. So when you see everybody there, it's just like, man, it's just this big thing. It's amazing. And the crowd is always amazing when it's there, and especially this time around, because a lot of people got the word out this time. Yeah. So I definitely love the crowd, that aspect of this time. It was definitely packed. While we're on the topic, because I know one of the main sponsors, who was my sponsor, Maggie from BJJ Couture, held her damn thing down. Shout out to Maddie as well for the special induction in between intermissions. Like, all y'all did y'all shit. Like, I definitely appreciate the free gear. Please keep it coming, because that's the only thing I care about is free gear. The only thing I care about this game, bro, is free gear. I don't care about money. I don't care about all that stuff. That stuff will happen when it happens. Just give me free gear. I'll rock that shit. Yeah, no, I hear you. And overall, man, I think that was such a big thing for the community, for the jiu-jitsu community in general. Yeah.
No, shout out to BJJ Couture for real, because, I mean, she helped obviously sponsor that whole event and made it what it was.
Made what it was. We were on the commercial, which was dope. Like, to see that, like, you're sitting and then the stage is up and you see the 4 monitors and you're just like, yo, that's my commercial. My mom didn't know about the commercial, right? Oh yeah. So Rose knew, but my mom didn't. So my mom's like, yo, is that William on the screen? He's like, oh yeah, he did a commercial for this too. She's like, my mom was blown, because she was like, I didn't know he was doing all this. I was like, yeah, because it was just like, it's so amazing just to do those small things and have that environment. Yeah. And the crowd was amazing, bro. Like, I think that Dimitri held the damn thing down. I think everybody's intro was dope.
Yep.
Everybody's thing was dope, man. But I think the most fun I had was watching your first match while I was at the Silverback table. And I was there with Matt. Oh, it was hype, bro. It was so hype because it was just advantages for the first one. And you got 2 points, you got that, and you got nothing else after that. And I had a dip after that because I wasn't there for, I think, that much longer. But I remember, how was that walkout for you? Because that first time getting to that stage is different.
It was cool. I mean, I've been thinking about the walkout for a long time because I knew it was coming. You know, I'd never done it before. So
man.
It's a big build up. And I was like trying to tell myself, you know, stay cool. It's going to feel cool, but you still got to get on the mat and take care of business.
Yeah.
And it did shell shock me a little bit.
Yeah.
But it, not so much to where it completely threw my game off, but it just made me have to kind of gut it out a little bit. Like I felt like a shock to the system. Nerves zapped me a little bit. I got more gas than I should have been, which you know really isn't a thing for me. My gas tank's always there, but I had to kind of gut it out because I zapped my system a little bit with all the hype.
Yeah.
But that just comes with doing more events like that, and I want that. It was so much fun, and again, you know, Dimitri and they put on such a good event and so professional and all that. So I mean, it was cool. And like you said, the Silverback table was down there.
We were
showing
rowdy.
love,
It
getting
was
loud.
rowdy. We were rowdy because it was me, Matt, John, some other guys, and then on the other side it was Cass, Maggie, some other people that way, and then you have Phil, and then I know Phil and Junior over there. I forget DJ.
Hey, shout out DJ.
Shout out DJ real quick, but like he had to sneak over there. I know they were getting probably mad because we're just being rowdy as hell.
And Phil came back in the back after the first one. He was like, "Bro, they are loud as shit." So he's like, "Can you hear me?" I was like, "Yeah, I hear you, but I hear them too."
Speaking of them, because like I haven't really said this, but because were you watching my match when it happened? Or
yeah, I stepped out.
I bet.
Yeah.
So. You know what I heard in the crowd? Some guy said from my opponent, he told me, he was like, what was it? He was like, he sucks. He's like, fuck his shit up. And I looked up once. I remember this. I looked up once. I could see the guy in the back, really in the back. I see him. And I see Matt. I haven't seen Matt in weeks. I'm like looking around. I give him a nod. I'm like, hey, what's up, Matt? And I'm just like, all right, whatever. This dude in the back is saying some stuff.
Yeah.
And then the second time, it was like 5 seconds later, he said it. And I looked up again. I was like, all right, we're going to play this game. And I got in the mount, looked up again. I was like, please say something. And he shut up for the rest of the match. Like, that crowd was so rowdy. That whole experience, I knew that it was another day in the office for me. Because it was just like, when you do multiple super fights, it's just another day in the office. It's like, yeah, the stage is different. That's probably, I'm not putting no blame on anybody else, but the production at Copa Elite too, or Copa in general, was amazing. Only stage I've been to that has a rise up stage, only stage I've seen that has the monitors all around. A whole bar, the whole atmosphere. I cannot stress that enough to you guys that next time this is out, please go. We need a pack house. That joint was live.
Yeah, you will not regret it. You'll come out.
You would not regret it. You will come out asking questions. You'll come out if you don't know jiu-jitsu and you like see all these people go rowdy and you're wondering like, and you'll sit next to people and they'll break it down to you about what's going on, what's happening, and you'll understand and you'll want to be in on the fun as well. And it's great for kids, great kid environment. But with my opponent, man, it's a mental thing when you have these things, right? For me, it's always, I tell my wife this, it's kind of like a hawk feeling. Like I make everything my opponent does irritate me to a point where I'm like, all right, we got to handle business. Like for me,
like Jordan.
Huh?
It's kind of like Jordan.
It's definitely like Jordan, bro. It's like, so I remember because I was like warming up, first match out, I was like, all right, I'm about to break my sweat in. I break my sweat in from between the first and second one. I break my sweat in. Third and fourth one, I'm getting my heart rate down, stretching. I know I can hear him on the other side talking to his people, and I'm like, all right, he ain't taking this seriously. That's strike one. I'm like, all right, we already there. We're strike one. And then the second thing was, I was like, when I walked out, it was a battle of the beats for real. I ain't gonna hold you. I came out the Tobe. Nugingwe, Fire, and then he came out to Fireman by Lil Wayne. He was rapping the whole shit down. And I'm like, you're not coming out to Wayne and you're not gonna rap in my hometown like this. And he blew a kiss to the crowd. I was like, nah, that's strike 2. Like, nah. Yeah. And then strike 3 for me, it was just like, I was like, if this dude pulls guard, it's a game, it's a rap. And as soon as he pulled guard, it was a game, it was a rap. And like, that's how I personally deal with it. And I know a lot of people are different, and a lot of people are just like, but it's the moment cannot be bigger than the event that you're doing. Like you got like, and you'll be playing much more. Cause I was like, I remember when I was going through this thing, I was going to New York, I was going to North Carolina. I was like, I've seen you doing your stuff. I'm like, Cam, you ain't doing these super fights. Like, I'm pretty sure you're gonna get invited to like finishers, or you want to do finishers eventually, and stuff like that.
That's something I talked to Sean a little bit about this year. I was like, I want to still pursue the IBJJF goals that I have.
Of course.
I've got ADCC goals that I want to do as well. But the thing for me is getting on as many stages as possible and putting as much pressure on myself as possible to make it easier, if you will, by the time I get to the, Pants, Worlds, trials, stuff like that. So super fights give me that pressure. Super fights, that's a goal of mine for this year, is to get on more stages like that.
Nice, man. I definitely want to see you on that. But let's get into yours, because how many matches you had?
I ended up having 3.
3?
Yeah, so I had, I won my first one. Like you said, it kind of started off a little tougher than I anticipated, and dude had some solid wrestling. Good counters, and like you said, there was no points for a little while. It was just advantages, I think 2 each. And then I finally got my first takedown. Played around trying to pass guard for a little bit. Went for a toe hold, pretty deep toe hold. Kind of looked back at him. He was kind of smiling. I was like, all right, he ain't bothering him. So I'm gonna let go, and I ended up standing back up. And then at that point, I knew he was gassed too. And I hit a nice duck, so I kind of put the nail in the coffin with another takedown. And then he turtled. I got him in a seated katakatame and finished him with like 20 seconds. So I was happy that I got the sub, because I don't like. I like winning. Of course,
I don't like winning by points. Trust me.
Sub,
I want the sub. I'm looking for the sub.
Absolutely. So I was happy to get that, and now I'm going into the next one, and I know he's a tough opponent. And honestly, I feel like I've been kind of building him up in my head too. Leading.
Who was the second guy?
Sam Kilmer.
Second guy was Sam Kilmer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very tough dude. I know I've talked to a bunch of people that have competed against him, people that I respect that have competed against him, that have lost to him, and he's kind of a bigger name in the DMV area. He brings it. He just placed 3rd at the ADCC Open last weekend in Dallas, and it was a stacked division. So I'm like, this is the type of dude that I gotta.
That's the measuring stick. That's the measuring stick
to be on that level. And so I built it up and got my opportunity. And then I ended up getting the first takedown. He started entering in on legs. I countered the leg lock, and he kind of had me in like a bear trap threat, which I was countering. But as I was countering, he came up, ended up in a standing rear body lock, kind of on the edge of the mat, and they stopped us. We get the reset.
And that's his thing.
Reset with him on my back. So I kind of try a quick roll. He's able to follow me through. Ends up getting his hooks in. 4-2, and that's the rest of the match. He gets body triangle, and I'm rolling around trying to get him off. He's trying to finish me. I wouldn't let him finish me, and he wouldn't let me out. So
so that's I say you did with that.
Ended up 4-2, and then got an opportunity to go for bronze, which I'm glad, because it's like you don't want to go out on a loss. And my dad, I was talking to him last night afterwards too.
I met your mom, by the way. She is a saint. She reminds me. Her and Marianne look so similar. I was like, at first I was like. Marianne, I was like, nah, that's just but
they're like besties too.
Oh my God, it was so beautiful.
But my parents, obviously huge supporters. They drove up to watch this. And my mom.
I didn't catch your dad, but I did catch your mom.
You have to get with him too. He's a trip, man. He's funny. I was talking to him last night. And somebody who's watched me compete since age 5 all the way up through what I'm doing now. He knows me outside looking in, right? Like this is the tournament when you felt best. This is the tournament when I could tell something was off, so like his input means a lot. And I was talking to him last night, and he was like, you seemed a little like shell shocked, because I could tell you were more gassed than you should have been. And I was like, you were right, so hearing him give me feedback helps. And one of the things that he said last night was, sometimes I feel like you compete in a third and a fourth match like you should compete in the semis and finals. And I was like, you're right. I kind of got to get like punched in the face to get pissed off. And then like I come out for third and I'm like, all right, this motherfucker's dead. And that's what ended up happening. I mean, it was a another good opponent. Again, shout out to Copa for having stacked people. I mean, everybody in there was tough. So getting another opportunity and getting to go out on a win at the end of the night feels good, especially when you get to come out a little pissed off and take it to them. And I got the sub in that one as well. So ended up getting bronze. But I got to learn how to flip the switch to being able to compete in semis and finals like I do for third place sometimes. Because I've done that in the first Copa that I did. I lost to tough black belt from Big Brothers.
Christian. Christian is not. It's not easy, bro.
No, he's tough, man.
It's tough.
Yeah, and that's another one. That's, leading into that one, I saw he was in my bracket. I was excited. Again, this is the kind of guys I've got to beat if I want to do the things I say I want to do. So they're setting the standard, and I'm trying to get up on that level. So that was another one where I kind of stalled a little bit. I didn't have, shout out to him. He had a great match, but I kind of stalled and feel like I didn't perform as well as I should have, and then got pissed off, come out third, fourth, and finished it in like 20 seconds or something. And I need to learn how to do that sooner sometimes.
It's like I had that problem at local tournaments, and it's like one of the things I said was I'm not going home with an L. I had to sear that in my mind that
I'm leaving here with something.
I'm leaving here with something, but I'm not leaving here with an L. And once you get to that point of, and I wish I could do more local tournaments, but just no one in my weight class comes out for tournaments like they do for super fights.
Yeah.
Like I do more super fights because of the fact that, I got somebody, and because the amount you pay for the local tournaments, that's the amount I'm paying to go on this trip. So it kind of evens out.
Yeah.
But having that local tournament feel is just like, you gotta go after these guys after another. And because there's such a deep pool of DMV people, from just wrestlers to jiu-jitsu to very famous schools that come out here, from Lord Irvin to Bispo and Virginia Beach to Silverback. Like the area is rich in jiu-jitsu people that you need the different gears. So it's just like I always make sure that I was like, man, I'm not leaving here with L. That's the first thing. Like, and sometimes you accomplish a mission, sometimes you don't. Sometimes when you reward yourself when you do good. Like I'm gonna put goals in mind that if I hit this, I'm gonna make sure I'm treat myself to certain things.
Yeah.
So I know that feeling. I know that like that third. I'm not fighting for third place and you're gonna kill him, but it's just like you gotta have that killer for every single person.
Yeah.
And dude, it happens. Like sometimes, some people got your number. Like the one thing that still bothers me, because I talked about this. I think I talked about it with my American Jiu Jitsu League boy a couple episodes ago. Actually, the first episode with Les Studios, that when I face the Adult Slayer, and that was like a shell shock to me. Yeah. That I had to learn legs in like 3 weeks, how to defend and all this other stuff, and to understand that not only that, but this guy's just a human being.
Right.
Like there's no one superhuman about him. It's just like he has to. What's it called? It's just another guy. It's another person.
Yeah.
So you gotta treat it like that. And when you have those moments and when you have those things, it's always have to treat it. There's really nothing that can help. I wouldn't even say help, but it would just be more of like, what can you do in this moment to get better? And that's one of the things. You gotta just come out charging the entire time. You gotta come out, understand the breathe. The first thing I had to do is I work on cardio the entire week and a half before time. I don't really lift weights the week of, or that probably cut myself off maybe half the week prior.
Yeah. I
work on cardio because if I over gas myself, I know what I feel when I'm gassed because I've been doing cardio so long. So it's like I gotta calm this down immediately to get to where you need to go, man. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing you got to do to deal with those things is just compete a lot.
Oh man.
So
it's always the because I remember we have a guy on our team that won his. It was the kid that first came out, Christian.
Yeah.
We call him Questions. And he was having, and shout out to that kid, man. That was a 13-year-old, or well, I forget how old he is. Shout out to Questions, man, because you're doing what most kids would love to do, kid, and you doing it great, right? But
it's a blessing.
Oh, it's a blessing. It's a blessing to just have it, and he did it great, man. He did it amazingly, and it was just like, it was great. He won by points. It was great, but it was just like, I remember he was leaning up to. I was like, dude, it's just another. Like, he was getting nervous too. I was like, bro, it's just another day in the office, man. Just like, you gonna do it. You gonna be fine. Like, he was like, man, my stomach. I had a burger. I was like, see, you need to learn how to eat before, like.
He had a burger before he competed.
He had a burger before he competed.
Hey, man, he's 13.
He's 13. He can do it.
What he wants.
I remember somebody in one of my brackets told me, he's like, man, my stomach don't feel good. I just had Chipotle. I was like, you gonna have Chipotle before you roll, bro? Like, you gonna really think? Come on. Dude.
You live and you learn, man.
You live and you learn by that.
But that's another advantage of them being able to do it at such a young age. Like, you know, I was wrestling at a young age. I learned how to eat. I learned how to make weight. So like, those kids will figure it out.
Yeah, you learn how to eat, learn how to make weight. That's the one thing I'll probably say that I probably would love to have a change is that you don't have to change. You have to weigh in. You just have to show up.
Yeah, this one was absolute. So
you have to show up. I had to weigh in by 2:22 at 5 p.m. So I had to be at like a certain weight in the morning so I can eat. Yeah. So I can be on weight by the end of the afternoon. Right. And I wish, that's the only thing I would say I will flip is like, hey guys, can y'all get like a 9 a.m. weigh in?
Nice for
like a night before. Like, I'm not asking for much. Everything was great, but we can have that night before so I can eat great. Cause I was like, as soon as I was like, I'm eating something. And then I remember my wife was like, what do you want for dinner? I was like, we were about to get Foster's Grill, cause I haven't had Foster's Grill in a minute. Okay. And then she was like, Foster's Grill closed in 30. I was like, nah, just get Five Guys. And bruh, oh my God. I have cheat meals. Like, that's my only thing after I think about tournaments is what food I'm eating afterwards. Oh yeah. That's the only thing.
Five Guys is a pretty solid go-to because at the end of the day, you want something quick and easy and also like greasy.
Just greasy. Just give me something I completed what I need to do. I'm breaking my diet. Yeah. Give me something that's gonna give me like the joy of like I can have tasteful food again. Like, I can't do it, man. But
Five Guys is where it's at, man.
Nah, Five Guys is where it's at. But speaking of food, we're gonna get off top. We're gonna move past all this jiu-jitsu stuff, man. Because I gotta ask, who taught you how to grill? Because I've been seeing your grill spreads, and I'm like, who taught you this? Because there ain't no way you know how to do brisket, all this other stuff, and you be doing it in the middle of the winter. And I'm like, yo, where are you? Like, first off, like your meat. Like, it's like, what the heck? Like, how did you know? Like, how you, like, I mean, from your pops?
No, I mean, my dad grilled and stuff, but we just had a gas grill growing up, charcoal stuff. Yeah. I mean, normal, whatever. But, you know, I heard about Traeger and it's like all this smoke and, you know, trying different recipes and different kinds of meats. And, you know, I love meat, so, I mean, pause. Pause. Hold up.
Sorry. I love meat. The gym ain't gonna let you live up to that one, bro.
That's it right there. R.I.P. No. Hey, man. Yeah, I mean, I like trying different stuff, and I like, you know, I like burgers, I like steak, I like ribs, I like brisket. So, and I like good barbecue. So I'm always trying to tweak my recipes a little bit. I mean, I just
plus you in the part of Virginia where barbecue's like centered, like around that area, barbecue's pretty dope. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like that's the one like traveling around for tournament stuff. I'm always
Texas.
Where's the
Texas
barbecue
was.
at?
I was like, dude, Texas barbecue's dope.
Yeah. After Pans, we found a nice little. It was like a brewery and a barbecue spot all in one, and it was I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was on point at the end. Like you said, at the end of a tournament, when you set a goal and you worked hard and then you accomplish, you fall short, whatever, but you saw it through, and then you get to go eat like something, especially when you're cutting weight, like you mentioned. So last year getting to middleweight was not the easiest.
Bro, like how did you what was your diet like?
Yeah, I mean it was from September until December. It got pretty strict because I wanted to do ADCC Open, which was 83 kilograms, so I could be like 183 or something like that. And I walk around like 185 since I've bulked up with Asim, and so I wanted to be full for that one, but then I had to get back down to 175 for Pans and Worlds. And so after ADCC Open, you know, we cleaned things up, we changed our lifting a little bit more, and we just kind of slowly shaved it. It wasn't like a quick drop.
Of course, you can't do a quick drop like that.
We did a good job of doing it gradual so that it wasn't like peaks and troughs, you know. And every Monday we send our weight, we check in, we send a picture of everything that we eat. So like that's one thing, it's not super strict, but I mean I try to eat consciously and I also know that I got everybody else looking at what I'm eating. So it's like they're holding you accountable. And that's another cool thing about our teammates and the people that are a part of that, the group with Asim, is everybody holds each other accountable a little bit, and you know, when you're transparent about putting your stuff in the chat, it kind of holds you to a standard. But so we did that all year to the end of the year, and yeah, I mean it put me on weight where I needed to be, but it wasn't easy, right? You know, I mean, I was definitely hungry.
Yeah.
So like at the end of these tournaments, I was down to try to get some barbecue, and then to circle back to Traeger and you know grilling out, I just Google a lot of stuff. I'm like, let me try this recipe out. Let me do this rub. And Harley likes to do it too. She'll mix up the rub and everything and help me out, and then I'll put it on. And it's fun to, you know, get out there even when it's cold, and then you're like, oh well, this brisket turned out like shit, so scratch that recipe, try something else. And there's times where it does, which kind of sucks. You spend all that money on a nice piece of brisket and ends up sucking. And
so speaking of, because I want to circle back on the diet, because I was like, hold up, you're 185 and you about to do medium heavy, which is what, 191?
88.
88.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm so sorry again. I'm in the heavy to like super heavy, so I'm like I don't do
no gi is like different.
And the gi and no gi is different. So I'm like, my thing is like I can't break 200 for the I would never. I used to, but I can't break 200 like anymore, because like my body will like shut down. Not saying I got to the point where I could do it, but my strength wasn't there compared to where it is between 210 and 220. 210, 220 is like my favorite weight, because I can lose 10 pounds quickly and not have to worry that much. It's just clean up diet. Everything else I do is pretty straight, but I for the life, I can't do 195. I can't go down to 188, because it's hard to keep up with what I do. It's hard.
And when you do same day weigh-ins too, it's hard. I mean, like 75 was enough to where I wasn't dead on the mat afterwards, but like IBJJF, you weigh in and then you're in the bullpen and you're on the mat in like 10, 15 minutes. So it's not like you can eat.
No, it's not.
You got to kind of get down to a point where you can eat up to be on weight, which is what I always try to do. And then I've got a little bit of energy going into everything, so I'm not like completely dried out. But yeah, I mean, weight is something that I've been working with since, again, going back to wrestling. I've been cutting weight for a long time, and now that I've gotten bigger, that's why I went up in weight this year. I'm like, I want to do stuff like absolute anyways, because it's a good challenge. So why be like, why bust my ass in the weight room if I'm got to undo a lot of what I'm doing just to make weight? So I'm like, let's just go up. And I mean, for ADCC trials too, I had to decide either 88 or 77. So it's like a 169 to 193 gap. So it's like, I ain't making 169.
No, you ain't making that.
And there for a while, like I got up to 195. I hit like 198, but I felt it too. Like, and that was something. Then after I kind of had to evaluate, talk to Sean, talk to Asim, be like, yeah, I'm bigger, but I feel slower. So I think my optimal weight is around 185. Like, so I don't have to be at the mark. If I feel best at 185, I feel solid, and I don't feel like, you know, giving up 5 pounds is going to make a huge difference. I'll make up for it with speed and agility and, you know, things that I don't get when I'm a little bit heavier. So
true. So before we do the my last question, or the question that the alley-oop, I got one more question for you. So what's your goals for the rest of 2023?
So
outside Worlds, because I know you're going to do Worlds.
Absolutely Worlds, absolutely Pans again. Double gold Pans last year. Want to do that again?
Yep.
I golded in my weight at Worlds and got silver in absolute, or open, whatever they call it, IBJJF. So I want to double gold Worlds at adult purple this year.
Yep.
And obviously ADCC trials is like massive for me, because I went to ADCC last year and it was such a cool experience. I mean,
I've never been to ADCC trials.
It was I haven't been to the trials. I watched the trials, and that's what kind of piqued my interest. I watched the trials on Flow, East Coast trials. I was like, well, this is crazy. and then then ended up going to ADCC, and I competed in the Open, and then stayed to watch the rest of the World Championships and watch Gordon and Galval, which was incredible.
Wow.
So I was like, yeah, I gotta get in. I want to do this, and it's like kind of a wrestling favored rule set. It's very aggressive. They penalize guard pullers, which I'm all for that. I'm all for that. So I want to, get and win trials this year and qualify for ADCC.
Nah, I definitely feel it. All right, the alley-oop. That's the question. So you get to ask me one question, any question you want to ask me, and I have to make sure I have to answer it. If I already answer it, you can ask me another question.
All right. Let's see. So, what is it? How'd you get into jiu-jitsu?
Oh, all right. So the way I got into jiu-jitsu was this. So I remember I was coming back from Richmond, and I actually. So this is the reason why I got into jiu-jitsu, and then how I got into jiu-jitsu. Okay. So I actually I was coming back from Richmond. It was in the rain. I was going to see my now wife, Rose, and I accidentally cut somebody off on Lynn Hall. All right. I pull up in the Safeway, get my gas, whatever. The guy follows me to Safeway, and he starts cussing me out. I'm like, yo, we can do something about this if you want to. And then he tries to swing on me, whatever. I push him back. Didn't get into that much confrontation. I was like, man, get the heck out of here with that. And I just closed my stuff up because I was about to get out, and he just tried nudging. I was like, I'm about to pop the trunk. You better get your ass out of here. And he just dipped. It was a whole bluff, cause I ain't none shit in my car, but
it worked.
It worked. But then I started thinking to myself when I got home, I was like, I really don't know how to defend myself, and I don't want to get a gun, because at the same time, it's been about 7 years. So it's like since, I was about to say 2014. That was 2016. So between 2016 and 2020 is probably one of the worst times of my black culture in terms of like racial profiling, all that stuff. So I'm just like, I don't want a gun at all at first. Now I got straps, but at first I ain't want no piece of guns. But so I was like, man, I just need to figure out how to defend myself. So luckily enough, my wife, her boss, Rowena, her husband, Bill, was at a purple belt at the time at Lil Dallas. He's like, yo, come up on Saturdays, do some jiu-jitsu, you see if you like it or not, whatever. So once I was able to get like a stable job at working at a bank after working at restaurants, I went up there like on a Sunday, and Bill invited me and Mo, who is my coach on Saturday, shout out to Mo. He was there, and we were just drilling, having fun. And it was the right place at the right time, because it just felt right. And then since that day, it's been amazing. I met so many people, done so many things, reached so many goals, so many heights, so many lows, and there's nothing more I can think. Like outside of my wife, like jiu-jitsu is like the second thing that kind of saved my life in a sense, because my wife gave me direction. Jiu-jitsu gave me the game plan. So that's how I kind of see how things like intertwine with everything I do, because that's how I got into tech, because some of the guys in jiu-jitsu, most of the guys in jiu-jitsu are government or tech.
A lot of tech.
And there's a lot of tech guys. So that's how I got into tech. And then that's how I got into kind of podcasting, because I was just like, I was able, and comedy as well, because I was able to find these connections to go different places, and it all started from me just coming into the gym on Sunday.
That's cool.
So, and got me to this point, which is like, looking back at it, 7 years, freaking going from white belt to purple belt, and like knowing that you still got levels to this and still got a whole journey, and that even after that, the journey doesn't stop.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing, bro.
It's a never-ending puzzle.
It's a never-ending puzzle. It is a frustrating puzzle. It's the biggest Rubik's Cube of your life, and you will never have it figured out. Even when you have it figured out, it's changing up on you like last second, man.
Yeah.
But yo, thank you for coming out to the show.
Yeah, dude,
really
thank
appreciate
you.
this, man. I
Absolutely.
really do. That's it from the Dreams Not Fame podcast. It's your boy Will again. Peace, love, and bye. Later.
Jordan open. I got 2 twin Glocks strapped to my hip. One for the ops, one for the dip. Got the drip on me, and she take a sip. Doing shit you never see, like a dream of crib. Got a shorty in the club going dumb. Pour another drink from the night till the one. Party all night, getting lit till the sun. Doing shit for fun, throw another one. Ayy, I got two twins.